and welcome to the Art of Decluttering podcast. I'm your host, Amy Revell. Today, we are talking all about comparison. I would like to say that I'm coming to you talking about comparison because I have nailed it and I never compare myself to anybody. I never feel jealous or I never feel proud and I never feel like I'm comparing good things or bad things or same things or different things. But truth be told, I'm on the journey just the same as you. And I thought it would be helpful to have an episode all about comparison because not only I wonder if there is actually somebody who said comparison is the thief of all joy. Let me see if I can find who it was said by. Who originally said it? Theodore Roosevelt. There you go. Actually someone that we've heard of. That's exciting. Comparison is the thief of joy because it makes you unsettled no matter what. And I think sometimes we compare because we're comparing the same, and sometimes we compare because we're so poles apart from something. And I think sometimes that's one of the tricky things about comparison is that it sneaks up on us and we don't even know we're doing it because it's so insidious and it's so worked into the very culture of how we work. So I see comparison play out in clients' homes and, in emails and DMs and messages that I get from you guys as listeners. I hear it play out a lot of the time. The community that I am in, my podcast community, are comparing themselves to people who are more minimalist, who are less cluttered, who are more decluttered, who are more organized. And so they're actually striving for more of all those things and can actually lose the joy in the journey and can feel like they're never going to get there. And we'll come back to that. And then often when I'm working with clients in their homes and we're dealing with quite a lot of clutter, the comparison is in the stuff, right? So they're like, well, such and such has a bigger TV and they've got better couches and they've got more stuff and their kitchen knives are better and their clothes are better. And I see this comparison play out in both ways. And sometimes you're comparing and you're comparing because you see somebody that's the same as you and you want to be better, and there's comparison and there's competitiveness. And sometimes it's because you look at someone who's different to you and there can be a little bit of self-pride of oh, I'm not like that person. And I think that when we're pulled into comparison, which I think happens to all of us. I don't think that there's kind of this lovely place that we get in life where we never compare ourselves against anyone. But I really want us to think about what does it look like to dig a little bit deeper into the comparison. So when you're comparing yourself to someone, whether it's because you see them super minimalist, super organized, and you're like, I want to achieve that, or you see they have all the stuff and you want to achieve that. So whether it's leading you towards minimalism or leading you towards consumerism, they're both comparison. And I want you to ask these questions. What about what you see is desirable? And what about what you see is aversive? So when you're looking at something and you're looking at a family that has the greatest new house, right? And you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. And they've got these big bifolds that walks out to this beautiful deck and they might have a pool and they've got a bedroom for every child and there's multiple living spaces and there's en suites and whatever that looks like for you, you can tell what my comparison would be. When you're looking at that, what about that is desirable? Because there's a whole lot about that is not desirable. Even though I look at that and I might compare myself and go, oh, our house is old and we don't have as much space and da-da-da-da. What about it's desirable? Okay, so it's bright and light and new. New is always, going to give us a dopamine hit. But there's heaps about it that is aversive to me. A really big mortgage does not sound that exciting to me. Presuming that's what I'm comparing to, someone who then has had to take out a loan in order to buy such a big house. Okay, what else? Okay, I don't really want to have to clean that thing. I don't want to have to clean 4 bathrooms and 6 bedrooms and 2 living spaces. I don't want my husband's or my kids or me out on the lawnmower or on the blower or having to do lots of things on the weekend to maintain a property. I don't want that. I don't want to have to pay the heating and the cooling bill for a really big house. I don't want that. I don't want a family that almost has a living space or breakout zone each because then we're kind of never coming together. There's heaps of things I don't want about that, even though the overall picture of it looks really pretty. It looks really pretty. Trust me. Literally 10 minutes ago, I was looking on realestate.com because a friend's brother was listing their house. It's like this 8-bedroom, 5-bathroom, beautiful, beautiful home. And I was looking at it just thinking, oh, that looks so pretty, right? And I was comparing. I'm just being real. I was comparing and I was having a look at it. But I have to remind myself, when I'm comparing, just because someone has what I want doesn't mean they're happy. And just because I would get what they have doesn't make me happy, right? So happiness is what we think is going to happen when we compare. We're thinking we're wanting happiness. But actually in this scenario, like, yeah, I would love a bigger house, or I'd love a newer house, or I'd love a prettier house. But I don't want all of these other things that come with it. I don't want to lose time with my family because we're stressed about a mortgage, or because there's so much maintenance to do, so much cleaning to do. I don't want a really big house that I have to furnish. I don't want to have to spend $10,000 or $20,000 on lounges and beds and bedside tables and things that we're not going to use all the time. So how does this comparison work when we're actually going like, what is desirable and what isn't desirable in this comparison? I think so often we compare our reality to somebody else's best day, like the best thing you see about them. So let's take a quick break and we'll be back in just a second. One of the things I have found that I've really discovered as I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of families when we're decluttering and organizing is comparison does rob joy. It's true, because when you're comparing to someone that you want to be like, or you're comparing because you think, oh gosh, I'm glad I'm not there, you're not in the present. You're projecting to the future. You're thinking about what you could have, but you don't have. And so you kind of forget the amazing things that you do have. And so sometimes if you're stuck in the comparison trap and you're thinking and watching and looking at everything everybody else has, you're going to ask these questions. So what about what you see is desirable, and what about what you see is adversive? And then have a look around and go, what do I have that I love? And so I would look around and go, we have a really cozy home. Lots of people have said over time when we come into a house, it just feels peaceful. I'm like, yeah, that's not because we have the best house on the street. It's not because we have the best furniture. It's not because it's the most well-styled. It's not because it's the cleanest, like literally bathroom, kitchen clean. It's not the cleanest house either. But there's a lot of love. There's a lot of time for people. There's a lot of harmony. And so actually I'm really grateful for that. I'm also really grateful that when I need something in my home, I know exactly where it is. We've been having building works at the house, as you guys are aware, and our builder came in and said to me yesterday, oh, do you have a really long extension lead? I got it from within about 3 seconds, like quite literally 3 seconds, because I don't have to then go searching going, oh yeah, maybe it's in the garage, or maybe I moved it to the shed, or which box is it in? Our house is minimal, and so when I need to find something, I actually have great joy in being able to find it. I have great joy in not being stressed when people rock up at my house unannounced. I have great joy in not feeling like in order for friends to come over, I have to spend a couple of hours tidying up. Now, when I say those things, I'm also acutely aware that you might be comparing to those things and thinking, well, I don't even have that, Amy. And that's okay. It's not about you comparing to my comparing. It's about you saying, what is desirable, what is adversive, and what do I love about what I have now? If comparison, when you ask those questions, drives you to push into your own personal values and make decisions and turn your family and your home and how you spend your money, how you invest your time, where your relationships are, if that comparison actually drives you to align things with what your values are, that is awesome. But often what comparison does is it robs you of joy and it gets you locked in the future so you can't enjoy what you have right now. It often happens when people are renovating, or people are, they're about to go and redo a bedroom, or you're about to go on a shopping spree. Just before those things happen, you hate your house, you have nothing to wear. Like, you know how you get in that space where you're like, everything drives me crazy. I don't love anything about my house anymore. We just need to knock it down just before you're about to renovate. But actually, if you can, instead of comparing to what the future would be, if you can be in the moment and what do I love about where I am now? What do I love about my life? And how can I change it in alignment with my values about what is desirable and what is adversive? I think that we can undercut the insidious nature of comparison. I don't think we can ignore it. I think we can acknowledge it. I think we can dig a little bit deeper, and I think we can direct our attention to what do we actually want? What do we actually have? And when I'm looking at this amazing lifestyle, or when I'm looking at this, that person just bought a new car. My kids at the moment, a few times have said, oh, could we get a Tesla? I'm like, firstly, no, because they're really expensive. And second of all, what does that also come with? That comes probably with a car loan, and I don't want a car loan. And so, yes, it looks desirable, but for our family right now, there's also adversive things about it. And so it's a really interesting concept. I don't think it's something that comes naturally to us. I think that it's a challenge that we can think about, that we can reframe, that we can push a little bit into, so that you don't get stuck in this comparison trap that is robbing you of all joy. There you go. So if you listened to last week's episode about breathing space, I was saying I would love to know how you're finding the podcast. Are you finding you're getting enough breathing space to listen to the episodes? Are you getting enough time if you've missed a couple to catch up? Send me a DM, email me at hello@theartofdecluttering.com.au. Give me your feedback and let me know what episode you want me to cover in the future. I'm excited about the podcast. It's not going anywhere. You don't need to worry, but I do want to hear from you. I do want to know what you want, how you want it, so that I can make it serve you the best way possible. Thank you for listening. Thank you for always taking the time to be with me, and leave your reviews and do all those things. And until next week, enjoy the freedom. I would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people, who are the traditional custodians of the land this podcast is recorded on. I would also like to pay respects to their elders, both past and present, of the Kulin Nation, and extend that respect to other Indigenous Australians. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would love you to rate and review the show on your podcast app. That will help others to find the Art of Decluttering podcast as well. If you'd like any more information, you can visit theartofdecluttering.com.au, and I would love to see you in my Facebook group. Just search the Art of Decluttering community on Facebook and join today. I hope that you have an incredible rest of your day and enjoy the freedom.